Alright, before we really dive in, I want to set the stage for today's episode. We're exploring machines that actually learn. Not just code that repeats instructions, but programs that can change and adapt. Sound a bit sci-fi, right?
Honestly, when I first heard machine learning, I pictured robots teaching themselves to juggle or something. But it's so much more grounded and, honestly, a lot messier than that. We're talking about systems that adjust based on data. And, as you'll see, humans are still totally in the loop.
That brings up a good point. Definitions are everywhere, but in machine learning, getting them straight is crucial. The curriculum can sound dry, but if we don't nail the basics, the cool stuff later won't make sense.
Exactly, think of it as learning the rules before you start playing a complicated board game. If you skip ahead, you'll be lost when the plot twists show up, like deep learning or AI ethics. So, let's map out these concepts before we go any further.
Here's a question I get a lot. How is machine learning really different from how people learn? It feels similar on the surface, but there's a world of difference.
I love this comparison, honestly. Humans are pretty amazing at learning from just a few examples. Like, show me a weird fruit once and I might remember it. Machines? They need thousands of labeled examples. Especially traditional machine learning, not the more flexible, deep learning models.
And humans are ace at unsupervised learning. We spot patterns in chaos naturally. Machines struggle unless we feed them labeled data. That's probably the biggest gap right now. Piggybacking off that, I think we have to talk about data. Everyone says data is the new oil, but what does that actually mean for machine learning?
It's a great analogy, but maybe even more intense without the right kind of data. No amount of coding will save your model. Plus, humans don't just collect the data. We decide what matters and even label it. Ever given a thumbs up or down on an AI response? That feedback helps the system improve.
Speaking of data, have you noticed how the media talks about AI? Sometimes it feels like every news story claims machines are about to outthink humanity.
Oh, totally. There's so much exaggeration. The idea that machines are out there learning on their own, getting smarter than us overnight, that's just not reality. Machine learning depends on human-curated data and guidance. We're a long way from true autonomous curiosity.
That actually brings us to supervised learning. It sounds technical, but it comes down to this. The model learns by looking at labeled examples over and over until it gets the pattern right.
Exactly, and the need for so much labeled data is a big bottleneck. Humans can generalize from a handful of examples, but machines need that repetition. It's like trying to teach someone a language by only showing them flashcards.
Funny you mention flashcards. There's another layer to this. Hyperparameters. They sound intimidating, but they're really just the dials and switches humans set to guide how the model learns.
Right. Things like how many layers a neural network has, how fast it learns, or how connected it is. These choices massively affect the outcome. And all of them are handpicked by experts, not discovered by the machine itself.
It really shows how much control we still have, even as AI gets more advanced. The myth that AI just runs wild couldn't be further from the truth. On the topic of control, it's wild how much human effort goes into this. Data collection, selection, labeling. It's time-consuming and, honestly, a little grueling at times.
Yeah, and it's not just busy work. Having a skilled workforce is crucial for designing, tuning, and troubleshooting. That's why if you get good at this stuff, you're suddenly in demand, with way more opportunities than most people realize.
And just saying, if you can mention hands-on AI experience in a job interview, it really sets you apart. Let's switch gears. What about all the data we generate online? Social media alone creates mountains of it, and a lot of AI models feed on this user content.
That's the tricky part. When you upload a photo, it's usually tagged and labeled already, making it a goldmine for AI training. But most users don't realize they're contributing to these systems, and often aren't compensated. There are huge privacy and consent issues at play.
And even when you do agree to terms, it's not always clear how your data will actually be used. That's a real ethical minefield. Stepping into the technical weeds a bit, have you heard of the long tail problem? It's one of those issues that pops up in every AI discussion.
Yeah, the gist is, AI models handle normal cases really well, like the common animals in photos or typical driving conditions. But throw in something rare, like a pangolin instead of a dog, or weird road events, and the system just can't cope. It's the same with some diseases in medicine. The rare ones get missed.
Humans, on the other hand, can often handle these oddities with a little reasoning or context. That's a huge gap. Pivoting from labels, let's talk unsupervised learning. This is where things get both exciting and kind of mysterious. Some folks even call it the dark matter of AI.
That name fits. Just like dark matter in space, unsupervised learning is crucial, but kind of elusive. It's about finding patterns in unlabeled data, something humans do intuitively, but machines still struggle with. The algorithms are promising, but we're nowhere near human-level abstraction yet.
That brings up another thorny issue: bias. If your training data is skewed or incomplete, your AI will be, too, even if you didn't mean for it to be.
Absolutely. And it's not just technical mistakes. It can have real-world impacts. For example, face recognition systems misclassify people when trained mostly on certain groups. And in security or hiring, that's more than just a bug. It's an ethical crisis.
So, given all that, people have a right to be skeptical. Most AI systems are black boxes, super complicated math goes in and decisions come out, but it's hard to see what's happening inside.
That's why explainability is such a hot research area. If users can't understand why an AI made a decision, they're less likely to trust it, especially in high-stakes fields like healthcare or finance. Visualizing what the model sees and how it weighs features can really help.
While we're on trust, have you heard about adversarial attacks? Basically, tiny changes to an input can totally fool an AI system, like adding a little sticker to a stop sign and making a self-driving car misread it.
It sounds absurd, but it's a real issue. Humans would still recognize the object. Yet AI can get totally thrown off, even making its wrong decision with perfect confidence. Defending against these attacks is a huge area of active research right now.
Zooming out, it comes down to this. Machines look for surface-level cues, but they don't really understand in the way people do. There's no genuine comprehension or context.
Exactly. It's like the famous Chinese room thought experiment machines can translate without understanding a word. Human cognition is all about experience, context, and nuance. AI is still a long way off from matching that depth.
So, if we pull it all together, AI relies on big datasets and human input, not magical self-learning. Misconceptions like AI having human-like understanding can lead to real problems.
And the big sticking points: bias, lack of explainability, adversarial attacks, these aren't just technical hurdles. They're ethical landmines in real-world applications. That's why critical evaluation and responsible use are absolutely essential.
Before we wrap up, let's remember, as AI gets woven deeper into the fabric of work and life, the need for responsible use and transparency is only going to grow.
Definitely. Whether you're headed into tech, business, medicine, or just using AI tools day to day, think critically about these challenges. Stay curious. And remember, understanding these basics puts you ahead of the curve. So, did you pick up something new today?
I know I did. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.